Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to do a how to watch video for Power Rangers. Now, this is going to be a challenge for anyone that wants to take it, because let's put it this way. I believe this show is already, or it could be crossing the 1,000 episode mark. So if you are willing to watch 1,000 episodes of 20-minute show, of a 20-minute show, go for it, have fun, and I wish you luck. But for the most part, I think this is a show where you can skip a lot of seasons, because there are some seasons that stand on their own. Personally, if I were to recommend anything, I would just say watch the first 6 seasons or 7 seasons, because I think they lay the groundwork on what the show is still today. I think the show tries new things every once in a while, but it's the first 7 seasons that I feel have established everything that the show still uses, what it's known for today. A lot of traditional things. So let's get right into it. I'm not going to say any spoilers that happen into this show throughout the years. Some of the newer seasons I'm a little more fuzzier on. I have seen them. I caught up last year on everything that I was a little behind on. And yes, my lore on Power Rangers, you know, I have a love for this series because I loved it since I was a kid, when I was 10 years old, when the series first started. And I watched it religiously all the way through RPM. And then after RPM is kind of where I was letting go a little bit. But like I said, I caught up, so I'm pretty much aware of all the newer stuff. I still haven't seen Beast Morphers Season 2, but that's because Netflix got rid of all the Power Ranger shows. I don't know why. Hasbro, I guess, I don't know. They don't want to bring awareness to the show. Who knows? But let's get right into it. I'm going to tell you the seasons that have team-ups in it so that you know, okay, maybe I should know that team before I watch this team-up. But for the most part, I don't think you do. Most of the seasons after the first 7 can stand pretty much on their own. So let's get right through it. The first season series you want to start off with is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This lasted 3 seasons. Obviously, season 1 starts with the original team that everybody knows. Tommy, who is the most popular Ranger of all time, is the Green Ranger. He becomes the White Ranger in season 2. Season 3 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers ends with a 10-part mini-series, Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, which is practically the bridge from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to the next season of the show, season 4, Power Rangers Zeo. Power Rangers Zeo is the first season that changes the suits each season. They carry some of the threads, the storylines and such, characters, etc., from the first 3 seasons into Power Rangers Zeo. Some new villains are established. This also sets up the tradition of using new villains each season, because it helps with the Japanese footage. This is also the season that has the very first team-up episode where a previous team teams up with the current team. In this case, it's the Alien Rangers, which were supporting characters. They team up with the Zeo Rangers in an episode. We then move into Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, which is the only Power Rangers movie that's actually connected to the TV series. Some people forget that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, is actually not connected to the show, because they actually redid the movie into a 5-part episode of the show, which was the beginning of season 3, a 4-part episode titled Ninja Quest. They just do it with their budget and their costumes and such. If you look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, that's why the costumes look more movie-ish, if you will. And the 2017 Power Ranger movie is obviously a remake of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I guess, episode 1, with some sprinkles of things that could happen later on. Obviously, we won't see that happen because that Power Ranger movie, unfortunately, didn't do as well as it deserved. And, well, that's why we got to continue with the TV show. So we move on from Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, into the Power Rangers Turbo series, which by this point, if you have been following, Tommy, who was the original Green Ranger in season 1 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, he lasted this long, and midway through Power Rangers Turbo, he gives his powers along with some of the other oldies on the show to a group of younger characters, along with Justin, who was introduced in the Turbo movie. Justin became the Blue Ranger, one of the most hated Rangers of all time. And I don't hate him that much, but he is one of the most hated Rangers, or at least I remember at the time he was one of the most hated. He sticks around with the new team until the end of Power Rangers Turbo, where he stays on Earth while the other 4 go into space. That's right, because the 6th season of the series is Power Rangers in Space, which some people even dub the Zordon era. This is the end of the Zordon era. Why is it called the end of the Zordon era? Well, if you watch it, no spoilers, you'll find out why. The first 6 seasons are practically connected thoroughly throughout, and they try to wrap up as many storylines as they can in Power Rangers in Space. To me, it's my favorite season of the franchise. And if it was the last one, I think it would have been a great ending to have. There are a couple of team-ups in this episode. As I just stated, Power Rangers Turbo, Justin stayed on Earth. He does return for an episode in Power Rangers Turbo, back as the Blue Turbo Ranger. The Phantom Ranger, who was also a character in Power Rangers Turbo, also shows up. And Adam, who was the replacement for Zach in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2, when Zach, Jason, and Trini left, Adam becomes the second Black Ranger, and then he becomes the Green Zeo Ranger and the Green Turbo Ranger. He returns as the Black Mighty Morphin Ranger in an episode here. I will also say there are a couple of cameos, villains, and supporting characters in the first episode of the season and the final 2 episodes of the season. As for who they are, I'll let you discover that for yourself. As long as you watch those first 6 seasons, you'll know who all those cameos are. So finally, we get into Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, which is the 7th season of the franchise. And I consider it an epilogue to the first 6 seasons. It's a kind of an epilogue to the Zordon era. Even though they are setting the stage for the traditions next to come, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy starts setting up an all-new story and an all-new cast each season. Starting from here on out, this is where most of the seasons, for the most part, take place on their own. You don't really have to see everything that came before, but if you did, you get a couple of treats here and there, such as a team-up that shows up. This also sets up the traditional team-up, where the Alien and Zeo Ranger team-up is kind of like the traditional team-up. This one really sets the standards of what they will be going forward. In this case, the Lost Galaxy Rangers team up with the Power Rangers in Space. There are actually quite a bit of things from Power Rangers in Space that leak over into Lost Galaxy, and I'll let you discover that for yourself if this is your first time watching any of these seasons. Finally, you go into the 8th season of the franchise, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, and yes, they also have a team up with the Lost Galaxy Rangers. The 9th season of the franchise is Power Rangers Time Force, and yes, they have a team up with Lightspeed Rescue. Power Rangers Wild Force is the 10th season of the franchise, and not only do they have a team up with Time Force, so the Time Force Wild Force, that traditional team up continues to happen where they team up with the previous year, but they also have an anniversary team up where all 10 Red Rangers up to that point reunite and team up with each other to take down a past threat. So there you go. Now we go into the 11th season of the franchise, which is Power Rangers Ninja Storm. This one is the first season to not only be filmed in New Zealand, but it's also the first season since Power Rangers Turbo to not have a team up. That's right. This season can be watched completely on its own. As a matter of fact, they kind of say that, oh, maybe Power Rangers were just comic books before this. They're like kind of a myth. The following season would retcon that. So Power Rangers Dino Thunder, which is the 12th season of the series, that one brings back Tommy, the original Red Ranger who left in Turbo, but he does return in Forever Red in Power Rangers Wild Force. He returns as a mentor in Power Rangers Dino Thunder, leading a group of new Rangers to team up. He becomes the Black Ranger, not right away. First there's 3 Rangers, and then he becomes the 4th Ranger, and then there's a 5th Ranger later on too. And yes, there is a team up. The team up returns in this one with the Ninja Storm Rangers. So there you go. Power Rangers SPD is the 13th season. Chronologically, it would be the last season to watch, but I would not recommend to watch Power Rangers chronologically because of team-ups. Team-ups are really the real reason you don't want to watch this show chronologically. It's better to watch them in release date order if you're going to watch all of them. That way you understand who every Ranger is when they return, especially for the anniversary stuff. I think those are the most important. With SPD, they do team up with the Dino Thunder team, keeping that tradition. Moving on, we go into the 14th season of the franchise, Power Rangers Mystic Force. What are the connections here? For the most part, it's a standalone series, but they do have some Easter eggs here and there. And 2 characters from 2 separate franchises return. Piggy, who is a character from Power Rangers SPD, makes a little fun cameo appearance. And I'll say a character from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers shows up for the final episode. I don't want to spoil that one for you. So moving on. You then go into Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, which is the 15th season of the franchise. Unlike Power Rangers Wild Force, which had 2 team-ups, the team-up with the previous year and the anniversary team-up, Disney was a little cheap because by this point, Ninja Storm or Wild Force and onward is where Disney started to own the franchise. And Operation Overdrive, they just did an anniversary team-up. And to represent the first 10 seasons, they thought, let's only get a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger to represent that era of Power Rangers. And then the rest of the Rangers we're going to bring back are the last 4 seasons that we did. So they get 4 Disney Ranger seasons, and then they bring back Adam, the Black Ranger who returned in Power Rangers in Space. He returns for the 15th anniversary team up. Who do they fight? I'm going to leave that up for you guys to find out once again. Moving on into the 16th season of the franchise is Power Rangers Jungle Fury. This season, for the most part, stays on their own. They don't have any team-ups with any previous team, although a Jungle Fury Ranger might return to a season later on. Moving on to the 17th season of the franchise is Power Rangers RPM, which was the last season produced by Disney when they sold it back to Saban the following year. This was almost the last season of the franchise until in 2010, Saban brought it back. And we then move into the 18th and 19th season of the franchise, Power Rangers Samurai and Super Samurai. I view them both as the same series. What they're doing is that where before Power Rangers would be like 32 to 40 episodes long, depending on which season you're talking about, all Power Rangers Samurai and the rest of the seasons is that they split them into 2 years by doing 20 episodes one year, 20 episodes the next year, which basically calculates it to like 40 episodes, give or take. So it's practically the same amount of episodes for the series that they're currently airing, just they're splitting the season into 2 years instead of just doing all 40 in one. Which maybe makes it a little bit easier for the kids. I don't know. But yes, there is a team up in Power Rangers Samurai. They counted in the first season, even though when you look at the episode and study it in where it takes place continuity-wise, it looks like it should have been in the second season. It's with one of the RPM Rangers, so I'll leave it at I'll just say it. It's the Red RPM Ranger. He returns, although it's a voice-only appearance because they couldn't... the actor who played the Red Ranger could not let's just say he couldn't be on set. So he agreed to do the voice. We'll leave it at that. Moving on to Power Rangers Megaforce, which is the 20th season, although it doesn't really feel like the 20th season. It's like they're hinting that something big is coming, but that something big only comes in the second part of the season, which would be season 21, where that's the anniversary season, because that's where they use all the past powers plus more, because they were lazy to make their own footage, I guess. And so they said, here, we're even gonna use powers from Japanese Power Rangers seasons that you haven't seen before, which didn't make sense. Then it's not a celebration of Power Rangers, it's a celebration of the Japanese version, which we're not here for. But whatever, it is a cool season when they transform into Ranger powers that we're familiar with, and there are a couple of cameos throughout the season. As I mentioned, there is one Jungle Fury cameo, there's a couple of samurais, and a couple of very old familiar faces. A lot of them are saved for the finale of Power Rangers Super Megaforce, and I'll just say this, put your expectations low because they are wasted. Moving on to the 22nd and 23rd seasons of the franchise is Power Rangers Dino Charge and Super Dino Charge. Again, these two stand mostly on their own, so you don't have to worry about anything that came before for this one. Then moving into the 24th and 25th season of the franchise is Power Rangers Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel. And the 25th season, they actually get it right. This is where the anniversary season is done. They bring back a lot of old familiar faces. They try to even it out throughout all the eras of Power Rangers, so it actually, if you are an old school fan that has watched a lot of the older ones, you'll see a lot of familiar faces. There's quite a bit of Mighty Morphin Rangers there, let's just say that. Even ones that might have leaked into other seasons later on. Then you want to go into Power Rangers Beast Morphers, which is the 26th and 27th seasons of Power Rangers. I will say for Beast Morphers, in the 27th season, there is a team up where they have all three Dino teams, which is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Dino Thunder, and Power Rangers Dino Charge, all return in this. Not all the actors, but they get Jason to return, who was the original Red Ranger, as well as a couple of the cast members from Power Rangers Dino Charge. None of the Dino Thunder actors return, but the suits are there, so that's kind of cool, I guess. I'll take what I can get. And another cool thing about Beast Morphers is that it might tie into a previous Power Rangers season. A few characters, two characters, I believe, from Power Rangers RPM return in Beast Morphers for a very specific reason. I don't want to spoil what that reason is, but if you've seen it, you know it, and I hope people don't spoil it for you, because it's the reason I decided to check out that season and catch up with the franchise, because I thought it was a really cool idea, and it's the reason why I'm eagerly waiting to watch the second season of this series. Finally, the current season that is currently on, that just started recently, is Power Rangers Dino Fury. It is the 28th season of the franchise, and as far as I know, there is a character from Power Rangers Ninja Steel that returns, one of the supporting characters from that franchise, Mick. So because I did I caught up, Ninja Steel was not one of my favorites, but it is cool that they are playing, it sounds like they are playing a little bit more with their continuity, which is something that I was kind of mad or frustrated that they never played around more with, but it sounds like they're playing a little bit more with their continuity now, which is really cool. If you have this long established continuity, play with it, and that's how you keep the old fans hanging on for. So because it shows that they have been invested in something that now you are rewarding them with, and why not use it when you see the opportunity to. So with that being said, guys, those are all the Power Rangers seasons in order on how I think you should watch it. There's no real right answer to watch Power Rangers. You can watch it backwards for all I care. And it's such a simplistic show. Like I said, like most of these seasons, you can view them on their own. I would say the first 7 seasons, like I said at the beginning, are the real important episodes because they establish everything that it is today. Other than that, the rest of the seasons you can pick your choosing. If you start one and you see that you're not getting into it like 5 episodes in or something, I would say stop it and go to the next season. But for the most part, that's what this is. So if you are somebody that wants to try watching Power Rangers SPD last, by the way, because the show, that season takes place in the year 2025, which 4 more years were there. I'm curious what season's going to be around during that year, and if they'll do like a team up or something. But for the most part, I think that it would be a little bit confusing if you saved SPD for last, especially if you watch the anniversary season from Overdrive or the Megaforce season where they use their powers, and then you're going to be like, what power is that? I never saw that one. Must be one of the Japanese ones. So I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Leave down any comments in the comment section below. Are you going to watch over 1,000 episodes of Power Rangers? Good luck. So with that being said, until next time, everybody, take care.